Welcome to Heart Health, a 6-week series presented by the Optimal Life program here at the Optimal U Fitness Facility. My name is Emily Joseph, and I am one of the registered dietitians here on staff, and I will be conducting the next 6-week presentations. This is week 1 in the 6-week series of Heart Health. The Heart Health class is designed to help be a tool to better manage your overall heart health. If you have recently been diagnosed or have been living with a heart condition, it's encouraged that you continue to seek guidance from your primary care provider. This class is in no means a replacement for any medical advice your practitioner has given you. It's simply a tool to add to your toolbox to help better manage your overall heart health. Each week, we'll cover topics related to nutrition, exercise, and relaxation as it pertains to heart health. This week, we'll be talking about what your blood pressure and cholesterol numbers mean, what exactly is cholesterol, how do we form new habits, and then we'll follow it up with an activity and then a weekly pledge. Each week, if you are unable to attend the class, I will have these recordings available. With the different weeks, I will have different topics, and I'll also have different group activities that we do in class, and I'll try to replicate those as best as possible so that way you can still participate in the activity here but just watching the webinar. If at any time during the presentation you have questions or you have additional questions outside of the Heart Health class related to nutrition, you're always welcome to make an appointment with either myself or Jody, the other registered dietitian here on staff. Knowing your numbers. So it's really important that we understand what our blood pressure readings are saying. So when you go to the doctor, or you can always have your blood pressure checked here at the fitness facility, there's a blood pressure machine downstairs outside of the fitness facility front desk. If ever you have questions on how to use it, you can always ask somebody working the desk how to help you. So a normal blood pressure reading, according to the American Heart Association, is a systolic number, which is the upper number, or the number read first, that states it's less than 120, over a diastolic number, or the lower number, the number that's read second, over less than 80. Okay, so the recommendations used to be 120 over 80. They have recently been changed, so that way it's important that it's less than 120 over less than 80. Pre-hypertension, meaning that you are in the kind of red flag stages of some sort of heart condition. It's important if you fall in the pre-hypertension stage that you begin to think about other lifestyle changes that you can begin to make to prevent your blood pressure from increasing. So that would be a systolic number of 120 to 139 over diastolic number of 80 to 89. High blood pressure or hypertension stage 1, meaning you have high blood pressure, okay? You are in the early stages, you have, you are gradually working your way up to a possible heart issue. So it's important to keep in mind that this would be a number of 120 to 150 over 90 to 99. Hypertension stage 2 would be 160 or higher over 100 or higher. And if there is emergency, if you have an emergency hypertension crisis, that would be your number is higher than 180 over higher than 110. And you would need to seek medical attention immediately if you're not already in the presence of a medical care provider. Do keep in mind that our blood pressure can fluctuate based on the amount of stress that we have in our life. It's the consistently high numbers that we need to be concerned about. So then knowing your lab values, okay, so if you get blood work done, typically the nurse or whoever will give you the reading of LDL, HDL, cholesterol. Well, what does that all mean, right? So it is something very important to understand. So an LDL lab value is referring to the bad cholesterol that's floating in the blood, okay? So an easy way to remember LDL is that it needs to be low and lousy, okay? So you can see there on the screen, there's a picture of kind of like somebody not feeling so great. So we want our LDL to be low and lousy because it's bad. Why is it bad? It actually builds up on the walls of the arteries. It increases the chance of developing heart disease, okay? HDL, on the other hand, is good cholesterol. It's high, it's happy, so an easy way to remember is HDL likes to be high and happy. Why is it good? Why does it need to be high and happy? Well, because it protects against heart disease by actually taking the LDL out of the blood, and it prevents it from binding in the arteries. So for somebody who does not have a pre-existing heart condition or diabetes, we want that number to be greater than 60. Somebody who does have heart disease or diabetes, greater than 70 is the recommendation. Now total cholesterol is HDL plus LDL plus your triglycerides. So we want this to be less than 200 would be considered desirable. What are triglycerides? Well, those are the chemical forms of fat that exist in food in the body. Excess triglycerides have been linked with coronary heart disease, so it's ideal to keep that number less than 150. Okay, so what is cholesterol? Well, cholesterol comes from two sources. It comes from the liver, as seen in the picture on the left, and then it comes from the food we eat. So our bodies naturally, we need cholesterol for functions and for specific functions in our body. That's why we have one of the functions of the liver being to make cholesterol, okay? So when it's produced from the liver and then it goes into the bloodstream, that's known as blood cholesterol. Now, it also comes from the food, okay? So that's known as dietary cholesterol. Dietary meaning diet, so food we eat, okay? Animal products in particular contain cholesterol. Certain foods containing saturated fats and trans fats, which we will go dive into a little bit more the specifics of, the foods in next week's presentation, but saturated fats and trans fats actually raise cholesterol levels. So that's important to know. So here in this picture you can see there's this is supposed to be full fat cheese, butter, whole milk, ice cream. So these are animal products, and they also contain high amounts of cholesterol. Red meat, fried chicken. So I like to give the example of the fried chicken. It's an animal product, so it contains cholesterol. It's also a fried food, which we'll discuss next week, contains trans fats. So knowing that trans fats are linked with increasing cholesterol levels and knowing animal products contain cholesterol, it's almost a double whammy in that sense, especially if you have heart issues. That would be more of a red flag food because it contains cholesterol and it contains molecules that increase cholesterol levels. Okay? Specifically when consumed in excess, not in moderation is what we preach. So there's several different factors that affect cholesterol. We have our manageable factors being physical activity, our waistline, okay, our stress habits, the food we eat, and then we have unmanageable factors being genetics, gender, and age. So for age, as we get older, our cholesterol levels naturally increase. Specifically after the age of 20, our cholesterol levels will gradually begin to increase, okay? Now gender, men compared to women have higher cholesterol levels at a much younger age. But men's cholesterol levels tend to taper off around age 50. They level out. Whereas women, around menopause, specifically before menopause, there's a drop in the there's a drop in the HDL levels, before menopause, and after menopause, there's a rise in the LDL levels, okay? And that's because of the change in hormones that are occurring in the body. And then some people are genetically predisposed to high cholesterol. And so the body, the liver, could be making too much cholesterol, okay? There's an overabundance of it being made. Or they may not have a gene to help, they may not be able to remove the LDL. So the HDL is essentially not working as well as it should, and it's not getting rid of that LDL cholesterol. And that is specific genes that people may carry. Now looking at the manageable factors, okay, so these are things that we can control. Looking here on the left, you can see waist circumference. So waist circumference is a better indicator of heart health because it's been scientifically proven that people who have larger waist circumferences, it has a more negative effect on overall health, specifically heart health. It puts more of a toll on your heart. So what does that mean? Well, for a man, we want to keep the waist less than 40 inches. So if it's greater than 40 inches, it puts you at risk for cholesterol. Having high cholesterol also puts you at risk for having a heart condition. For a female, that looks like waist circumference greater than 35 inches. Okay, and we use this as compared to a BMI because somebody who is overweight may have the same BMI as somebody who weighs the same but has all muscle. And that's because the muscle weighs more than fat, essentially. So they would be at a, so we don't use BMI, we use waist circumference in this circumstance. And then smoking. So smoking actually damages the walls of the blood vessels, and it makes them more likely to accumulate fatty deposits, and then it also decreases HDL levels. So once again, there's another double whammy coming at you for heart health. Okay, so that's why smoking is something that should be avoided. And then there's physical activity down here in the corner, or down here on the bottom of the screen. So maintaining a daily activity. The American Heart Association for General Health recommends 150 minutes a week of moderate physical activity. Okay, and so that's 30 minutes 5 days a week, or 75 minutes vigorous activity a week. So moderate activity would be an example, light walking, jogging, 3 10-minute walks. Vigorous activity would be when you really get your blood pressure, your heart rate up there, your heart rate up there. So, you're sprinting, you're doing a HIIT routine or a kickboxing, or, dancing really, hip hop dancing, something that really gets your heart rate up there. And we'll talk about physical activity around week 4, but it is important because it not only helps with maintaining a healthy waistline, it helps to lower cholesterol, it helps to keep blood pressure in check, stress levels normal, and so it's multifactorial. And then lastly, what we eat. So, like I said, we'll dive further into nutrients affecting our heart health next week, but taking a look here at this picture, you can see there's lots of fruits and vegetables. Okay, so fruits and vegetables contain phytonutrients, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and fiber, all of which have an impact on our health, right? So they contribute so much to overall heart health. Not only are they low in calories, which can help with this waistline, they contain fiber, which naturally reduces cholesterol, and then the antioxidants and phytonutrients that help increase our optimal heart health. Okay, so many different factors affecting cholesterol. So here's an example of a normal artery and a narrowing of an artery. So a normal artery here you can see is open, right, and blood flow is able to freely flow through. So this would be considered a normal blood pressure, right? So blood pressure is the rate of which our blood flows through the body, essentially. Here on the right, you have a narrowing of an artery. So the plaque is beginning to build up. And so what that means is this would be, higher. The cholesterol is starting to build here. And you have that same flow here on the left, it's trying to get through on the right. Because when you think about it, just because we have plaque developing on our arteries doesn't mean we produce less blood. We still have the same amount of blood that needs to pump through. So what happens is the body has to work a lot harder to push this blood through this smaller hole, increasing the blood pressure. So you not only have cholesterol levels that are increasing, plaque developing on the inside of your artery, which can harden, you also have blood pressure that's increasing. Okay, so it's harder for your body to work. And eventually, this can become closed, called a blockage, which can lead to, a heart attack or even death, unfortunately, because the body is trying to push this through and there isn't enough space for the blood flow to get through, and it bursts, essentially. That would be, and so something to definitely keep in mind. Now, can somebody have high cholesterol and not ever have a heart attack? Yes. Can somebody have high blood pressure and have good cholesterol levels? Yes. Can somebody have, can their blood pressure just go up because of stress? Yes. So this is just, generally speaking, what can happen. It's important to take a look at family history, genetics, lifestyle, what am I doing? Being here in this class, you're educating yourself. And so that's further giving you a tool in your toolbox to help with optimal heart health. So is this going to happen in everybody? No. Not everybody is the same, but this is the typical process that happens when we have a high amount of cholesterol in our body, leading to the deposit of plaque, high blood pressure, narrowing of the artery, heart disease, heart attack, and death. So just keeping that overall big picture in mind is important. Okay, so not only is, we talk about nutrition in this class, we talk about exercise, and we also talk about stress management. So making time for you is one of the most important things you can do for yourself in terms of stress management. So here is a re-energize activity, and feel free to pause the screen if you want and click on in the newsletter this link was attached with, there is a downloadable re-energize activity. And so there's 2 slips there, one for you can cut it out and put one at your desk and one in your house or one in your car or whatever you feel is fit. But taking care of yourself is most important. Whether you have heart problems or your loved one does, or you're just, here taking this class to educate yourself further and you don't have either of those things. Setting aside time to maintain a normal exercise routine, to eat a well-balanced meal, and include activities you enjoy to help refresh and re-energize yourself. Not only help to add you time or me time, essentially taking 5 for you, but it helps to relieve stress, it helps to lower blood pressure, and it keeps your energy levels high. It also helps you to refocus, maybe start your day on a positive note, maybe it's starting the second half of your day on a note, or just, recentering and recharging. So I encourage you to create a list of things that you can do to help re-energize yourself for overall heart health, just to add some spunk to your day. So maybe making a list of some things you can do for 5 minutes at work if you feel overwhelmed, or 5 minutes in the morning, or 20 minutes if you have a little extra time, or maybe you put on there a few things that you want to do when you have a weekend to yourself or a day to yourself, to just kind of do something for you because you care about you. And when you care about you and you make time for the little things in life, it really does, it's proven to have a decrease on stress and lower blood pressure and just add to the overall positive attitude. So in class we had shared some different suggestions that people were going to write down to do for this re-energize activity. And some things that came up were walking their dog after work for 30 to 60 minutes. Somebody mentioned wanting to take a cooking class, And it doesn't necessarily have to be a heart-healthy cooking class, but just something that that person always wanted to do, and they decided when they had time on the weekend that was something that was going to help them re-energize. Somebody else shared drinking a cup of coffee in the morning before work without any distractions from any family members. Okay, listening to a CD or listening to a playlist on their phone on the way to work versus flipping through the radio station. Then they had their favorite songs there, kind of helped them recenter, you know. Somebody else suggested listening to their favorite song while they were going for a walk, for a 10-minute walk up and down the halls here at Amway. So these are all just a few suggestions. Whatever works for you is going to be, whatever you feel like doing or whatever you think will work is the best type of re-energizing activity. Okay, so each week in this class, we discuss a topic. Okay, so this week we talked about blood pressure, we talked about cholesterol, different factors, and then briefly talked about a stress technique to help manage stress levels and re-energize. So we talk about a topic, and then we work on creating a new habit by creating a SMART goal. Okay, so if you haven't already had the chance to take a look at the Optimal Life first class that we, in January, we talked about mindfulness, we talked about goal setting, specifically SMART goal setting. I encourage you to do so after this presentation. That link is on the Fitness Center website under Optimal Life, because it further dives into why we need to create SMART goals. Okay, and so for this class, we'll create weekly SMART goals. And in the newsletter, there's the weekly pledge handout, and so you can print that out if you want, and then write in there what you are going to work on for this week. So I give you a starting topic. You can always use that, or you can create your new, your own weekly pledge, whatever works for you, but it's simply just another tool to help set you up for success. So at the end of the 6 weeks, you'll have 6 new pledges, 6 new habits to hopefully that have been implemented or are in the works of being implemented into healthier habits. Okay? So one example is making a grocery list each week with your family is a goal to become a habit, so that way, it takes the stress out of last minute, planning, different things like that. So taking care of your heart is all about forming new habits. Small changes over time equate to big success. So this week's weekly pledge, what are 1 to 2 ways you're going to carve out time this week to do something you enjoy? So using the attached handout or the re-energize activity that you wrote down, picking a couple things from there, maybe just one thing. Maybe you're just going to hold yourself accountable for drinking a hot cup of tea at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to kind of de-stress midday, something like that, whatever works for you. Jot it down and then put it in a place that you can constantly see to remind yourself to do every day. Okay, so that's this week's weekly pledge. If you do attend the class, you get a chance to come to next week's. We will start our class with discussing our weekly pledges and what we found is helpful, because the goal of the group class is to be able to discuss and engage in conversation and share ideas with each other, so that way hopefully, one person may have an idea that benefits somebody else that they didn't think of, so sharing that energy, that positivity, and those ideas to help everybody in the class achieve optimal heart health. And obviously, if you can't come to the class, then I will share what others had shared in this presentation, okay? Next week, we will be talking about nutrients of concern, and the class will meet from 3 to 4 in room 33-2C. Thank you so much. Have a great day.